The silent observer. Some secrets are worth killing for. Others are worth destroying lives. Morgan Reed had mastered the art of invisibility at Westlake High. Nobody noticed her. The girl with deep brown eyes that observed everything and hair always pulled back in a practical ponytail. Her faded jeans and thrift store sweaters helped her blend into the background of a school where social status was measured by designer labels and car models. Each day, Morgan watched as Amber Phillips, the undisputed queen bee of Westlake, paraded through the hallways with her court of followers. Amber, with her perfect blonde hair and calculating blue eyes, ruled every school organization from student council to the cheerleading squad. She had everything: money, power, and an army of girls eager to do her bidding. Morgan had none of that. Her mother worked double shifts at the local hospital as a nurse. And her father had left years ago. Every evening after school, Morgan worked at a small bookstore downtown to help with bills. Her life was a constant struggle to survive in a world not designed for people like her. Amber knew this, and she weaponized it. "Look, Reed's wearing that same cardigan for the third time this week." Amber's voice carried across the cafeteria, deliberately loud enough for everyone to hear. "I guess her mom can't even afford laundry detergent." Laughter erupted from Amber's table. The pretty girls with expensive highlights and the athletes who orbited around her like planets around a sun. Morgan kept her head down, hands trembling slightly as she continued eating her lunch. She'd learned long ago that reacting only made things worse. Morgan never fought back. She just observed, waited, and survived. It was how she'd always coped. Until she couldn't anymore. Spring formal was approaching. Morgan's senior year at Westlake was almost over. And she had nearly made it through without incident. She hadn't planned to attend the dance. She couldn't afford a dress. And no one had asked her. But she'd won a ticket through the school's essay contest. And her mother had picked up an extra shift to buy her a simple black dress. For once, Morgan felt like she belonged. That night, she arrived alone, heart pounding as she stepped into the transformed gymnasium. Colored lights swept across the crowd. And Morgan felt like she was entering another world, one she'd never been invited to before. She was standing alone by the punch table when Amber approached. The queen bee wore a stunning red dress adorned with crystals that caught the light with every movement. Amber never traveled alone. She always had her entourage. Tonight was no exception. "Morgan Reed?" Amber said, her voice dripping with fake surprise. "I didn't know they were letting just anyone in. I thought there was a dress code." Laughter rippled through Amber's group. Morgan managed a small smile, not responding. "Actually," Amber continued, raising her voice for the benefit of anyone nearby, "I'm glad you're here, everyone. This is Morgan, the girl whose mom changes bedpans at County General. Her mom couldn't even afford to buy her a decent dress." Silence fell over the surrounding area as Amber put her hand to her mouth in mock horror. "Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. I mean, Morgan works hard. She'll always be a nobody. But at least she's trying." Tears welled up in Morgan's eyes as the sound of laughter and whispers exploded around her. All eyes were on her. And Morgan felt her world collapsing. She ran from the gymnasium, tears streaming down her face. That night, when she got home, Morgan made a decision. She would no longer be a victim. Amber Phillips would pay for everything she had done. If Morgan excelled at anything, it was observation. For years, while standing silently in the shadows, she had seen so much: small secrets, lies, moments of weakness, and now, she began to observe Amber with different intent. Morgan created an anonymous account on the school's social media gossip page, where students regularly shared secrets and rumors. She began searching for every piece of information about Amber, from her daily schedule to her relationships and potential enemies. She also began following Amber from a distance, noting every habit and unusual behavior. She realized that while Amber always presented a perfect image in public, there were moments when she separated from her group and disappeared for periods of time. Morgan wondered what happened during those intervals. One afternoon, while working at the bookstore, Morgan happened to see Amber enter a small shop across the street. It wasn't the type of place someone like Amber typically visited, a small, dingy pawn shop. Morgan watched through the bookstore window as Amber emerged with a small bag, quickly glancing around to ensure no one had seen her. Morgan began documenting everything, building a picture of Amber's secret life. And gradually, a pattern emerged. After weeks of monitoring and gathering information, Morgan discovered the shocking truth about the Phillips family. All the wealth and power that Amber flaunted was a facade. The Phillips family was on the verge of bankruptcy. Amber's father, once a successful hedge fund manager, had lost everything in a series of bad investments. They were maintaining the appearance of wealth while secretly selling off assets to pay debts. Amber's new designer handbag? It was a counterfeit she bought from the pawn shop. The diamond bracelet? Cubic zirconia. Morgan discovered something even worse. Amber's father hadn't just lost money through poor investments. He had defrauded many people in town, including Morgan's mother, who had invested her meager savings in a sure thing that Mr. Phillips had pitched. That was why Morgan's mother had to work double shifts. Not because they had always been poor, but because they had been swindled by the Phillips family. The championship victory party was the perfect moment. The entire school would be there, including parents and faculty. Amber, as the cheerleading captain, would be the center of attention. Morgan had prepared meticulously. She had compiled evidence of the Phillips family's true financial state, the counterfeit items Amber used, and most importantly, a list of people Mr. Phillips had defrauded, including her mother. Morgan created a short video, combining all the evidence and photos she had gathered. She set up an account on social media under the name, The Phillips Truth, and scheduled the video to post at the exact moment Amber would be giving her victory celebration speech. As Amber stepped onto the stage amid cheers, Morgan stood silently in the corner of the room. Phone in hand, she pressed post and waited. Within minutes, notification sounds began echoing throughout the room. Students, parents, teachers, all received notifications about the new video on the school's social network. Faces turned toward phones, and silence gradually fell over the room. Amber, still speaking, realized something was wrong. She looked down to see her mother crying, her father pale-faced, and then she saw it, Morgan's video playing on everyone's phones. This is the truth about the Phillips family they don't want you to know. Morgan's voice narrated from the video. And then everything collapsed. Amber stood paralyzed as the entire school learned the truth, that she wasn't the wealthy queen bee she had pretended to be, but a liar and the daughter of a fraudster. Morgan watched from a distance as Amber ran from the stage, tears streaming down her face. The entire Phillips family left the event in utter disgrace. Others in the crowd, people who had been defrauded by Mr. Phillips, began talking and growing angry. A sense of victory washed over Morgan. Finally, justice had been served. In the days that followed, the school was in chaos. Amber stopped attending classes, and rumors circulated that the Phillips family was preparing to leave town. Official investigations into Mr. Phillips' business activities had been launched, and many people were demanding restitution. Morgan walked into school with a new sensation, not invisibility, but attention. People knew who she was. People knew what she had done. Some regarded her as a hero, someone who had exposed the truth. Others looked at her with suspicion and fear. If she could do that to Amber, who knew what she might do to them? Morgan also began to realize the cost of revenge. She had become what she once hated, someone willing to destroy another person's life. Did that make her any better than Amber? A few weeks later, Morgan received a text from an unknown number. You think you've won. But I know your secrets too. And I'll never forget this. Morgan stared at the message. Heart pounding. Was it Amber? And if so, what did she know? For the first time, Morgan felt afraid. Perhaps revenge wasn't the end, but only the beginning of a new spiral. As the bell rang for class, Morgan looked around the room full of familiar faces and wondered, who would be next in this game of revenge? And could she live with the consequences of what she had done? She had won the battle. But at what cost?